All right, how's it going, everyone? Back here again, same time as last week. We definitely a little bit different this week than last week. Now we're 2 weeks into NFL, so it's a little bit different than what we're waiting for. And we'll have Quinn join us in 2 seconds right now. I finally got some decorations in the background too, just a little bit of artwork. Hopefully I'll get some more NFL stuff in the background. I know Quinn's got the all the Pittsburgh stuff there, but all I got is the newspaper from the day I was born. But I'll try to get a little bit more in the future to make it look a little better.
Good looks. How's it going today?
Just moved in a few weeks ago, but nonetheless, I'm working on it still.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, my mom sent down some artwork with my girlfriend this weekend, and so it's getting there.
It's nicer than just 4 plain walls. That's good.
Yeah, 4 white walls makes it
Get
go
a little decoration going.
crazy. Yeah, a little different there, but you know, you got to figure it out at some point. But it's come together, definitely come together, and yeah, hopefully I can get some football stuff here, get some nice decorations, so it's not so bland next week.
Sounds like a deal to me.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to figure it out, but we shall see. So I guess we're just gonna kind of freeball it this week. Is there any direction you kind of want to go with, Quinn?
I think we kind of take it game by game. Start with some of the earlier one. I mean, we could start all the way back on Thursday night's game if you'd like. That was Giants and the football team. Pretty exciting game. Disappointing ending for Giants fans, I'll tell you that much. But
they're used to it by now, I think.
Probably. Once Dale gets on here, we can have his full thoughts if we ever get him.
Yeah, I think Dale might be a Monday night work guy because I tried giving him a call. I'll tell a funny story. So Jay gave me a call a little earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, hey, can you put down a $400 bet? Because he's him and his friends are having some rush event and they want to have they rent out a bar on this, so they just want everyone going off on the same thing. So we'll see. But it ended up only being a 120 bet. But they so I'll be rooting for Aaron Jones already got his touchdown. So they also need Packers money line, Rodgers over 290 yards, which that might be tough right about now.
That's gonna be close.
And Big Bob Tunyon touchdown anytime.
It's not bad. I mean, I just getting home now, so I didn't catch the opening drives, but looks like both teams are moving the ball pretty well.
Yeah, they're just grounding and pounding. I mean, the Packers pretty much, I think, all I remember is Devontae Williams getting one pass for a reception. But I think they were just grounding and pounding with Jones and A.J. Dillon. And I only caught the Lions touchdown, but they had a nice little golf head. I mean, their O-line looks fantastic. He had all the time in the world. He just rolled out a little bit and hit Cephas wide open.
Yeah, they got some bodies up front, honestly. I mean, they got, other than Penei Sewell, their first overall pick. They have good interior. Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker when he's healthy. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah, not too shabby. That always reminds me of the Cowboys building that front up, because I mean forever they had just such, it was like everyone was a all pro on there.
In 2016 when they drafted Zeke his rookie year, that offensive line was just a moving wall. It would just push bodies.
Who was on the right side? Because I can think Tyron Smith at left.
It tackle. Was I think I remember. It was Tyron left or right. It was Tyron Smith,
Martin.
Zach Martin, Travis Frederick. Right guard was
yeah, I can't remember. Connor Williams, maybe?
Nah, it was before him. Cowboy. I'm gonna look it up.
And Lyle Collins, probably, right?
I think he came a bit later too, because the right tackle was Doug Free before he retired. It was Ronald Leary. He was there for a little bit, then he went to Denver.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that team was good. They would just mow teams down until they ran into Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
Yeah, sounds about right. But sorry, I guess we can go back to the that Thursday night game. So, how much of that did you end up watching?
I watched the whole thing. I kind of said I didn't really know what to expect. I set the two teams not great offenses and bad weather, and I kind of thought it would be a shit show. But it was a fun game, honestly. I was pretty impressed with. I mean, Heineke especially. I mean, that was his first start since the playoff game last year. I mean, he slow start, but he got the ball moving later in the game. I mean, if it weren't for kind of a late pick, he would have had that game wrapped up earlier. But he rebounded and drove them down the field into field goal range.
Yeah. All right, I'll be honest. That was the one game that I really watched this week. I was in Richmond all weekend and then traveling like out during all the 1 o'clocks and the 4 o'clock games. So I didn't get to see too much later on in the week. But that game, yeah, I remember texting you because I want to do a little parlay just for fun. Definitely did not hit. But Danny Dimes
looked
really
good.
seemed bold out there.
He looked pretty good. I mean, it was a drop touchdown away from probably putting that game to bed a bit earlier, but
You're Slate not getting a penalty.
yeah, he played well. It's just the defense couldn't really get the stops when they needed it, and then you got a turnover. You got a turnover kind of late with like 2 minutes 40 seconds left, and you could barely burn clock. You kick a field goal, and you give Washington too much time to get back down the field. I really think the coaching kind of blew that game from what I was watching.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't able to see it, but the little I did see though, I thought the Giants O line held up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, even though they were
At
down a
least in the first
starter,
half.
I mean, Andrew Thomas looked all right. Like Chase Young wasn't really taking them to town. Like he held up, and I know they lost their center early in the game, but they were considering how good Washington's front is. They hung tight. I'll give them that. They played pretty well.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked. I thought it was gonna be a murder fest out there, and Danny Dimes was gonna be absolutely abused and beaten down, but honestly, it didn't look too bad.
No. I mean, unfortunately, they're 0-2 now, and I'll have to check who their upcoming game is. They have they got the Falcons on deck, so that's definitely a winnable game for them. I mean, if you fall to 0-3, they're in a lot of trouble. But I mean, if Daniel Jones plays like he did last week, I mean, it's definitely a winnable game.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people going to that game, they're like, he's a few bad games away from Giants fans really just being like, all right, we're done with this guy or whatever. And looking at maybe draft another quarterback.
I mean, yeah, we'll see how the season plays out, but I think it's the coaching staff that might go before he does.
Yeah, he's still young.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big year of Joe Judge, and he's off to a pretty tough start. So they might kind of give him a little bit more of a leash and with new coaching staff if the season doesn't go as they wanted it to.
I gotta be honest though, I feel like they got talent. Like they had a probably top 10 defense last year, maybe.
They did, yeah. Their defense is really good.
They got weapons. I feel like they got a lot of weapons on the field. I know the receiver corps you're usually weaker, but then they bring Kenny Galladay, debatably maybe the biggest free agent sign for a wide receiver, and then they also go out and they draft a wide receiver in the first round. But I don't know if you saw his tweets, but everyone's thought he was like he was not happy there, but then he was acting like, oh, y'all react to whatever like you think is like drama, it really isn't. But
yeah, I don't really know what
it was exactly, but it seemed a little sus.
I mean, you draft the guy in the first round, they've barely even gotten him the ball. Like, I mean, I know that he missed a lot of training camp, but I guess I had higher hopes for him. Maybe they'll get him more involved going forward, but we'll see.
I can't remember if I'm thinking about someone else, but I think the guy maybe supposedly like barely passed the Wonderlic from what I heard.
Those Florida guys don't go to play school.
What was it? Oh, it was last not this past draft, but the year prior. It was either Ruggs or Judy. Apparently failed it or passed it by
Yeah, I think it
one.
was Judy. I think I remember that. He kind of
Yeah, and then I
bobbled
remember on
like,
draft night they were showing. Oh no! Did you just see that golf turnover? That was bad.
yeah, not great.
Judy on draft night. Then they're showing how he was over a 4.0 student in high school. So you gotta you gotta. I guess he's not going to school. He's not going to play
Ah,
school.
he made it to the league now. Don't need to worry about that
Yeah,
anymore.
he's good. And
He's good.
he looks so good last week too. It's a shame he went
Yeah,
down.
really. I mean, especially with Teddy Bridgewater is off to like a really good. I mean, granted, he's played the Giants and the Jaguars so far, so not exactly the toughest competition. But considering I didn't even think he would start the season, I think Teddy's off to a really good start, and it's kind of a shame Judy's out injured right now because I think he could have been in for a pretty big season if not.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he'll be back in a month or so.
Yeah, especially with the new IR rules, it might only be a few weeks. They don't have to shut him down completely.
Yeah, well, let's see. And I don't think it's worth rushing him back in. I mean, they obviously lost their big stud Sutton last year after having a career year, 1,000
Yeah,
plus yards, and all that. So I think it's not worth rushing back, especially when you
nah, for
invest
sure.
so much in them. And they got talent. They got tons of talent. The
Yeah, they
who's
still
the
have
other guy they
weapons.
drafted last year? Judy.
KJ Hamler is still
Yeah,
there.
him, Tim Patrick,
Tim Pat, Noah Fant,
and
tight end.
the
Yeah,
backup tight end's a speedster too. Albert,
Aquabunam or whatever his name
yeah,
is. Yeah,
alphabet last name.
Alberto. That's what the easy name.
And he
But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, the
not the best.
Broncos are 2-0 now. I was looking at the standings heading into today's match, and there's only two teams in the AFC that are 2-0, and the Broncos are one of them. So they have a pretty easy schedule ahead. So as long as Teddy Bridgewater keeps playing like he does, the Broncos are in pretty good shape, honestly.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they're in that stacked conference too, or division.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, once they get into those divisional games, we'll see how they hold up. But if they could pad their win stat now, come playoff time,
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're
all that
playing good
matters are
football,
wins and
that's sometimes
losses.
all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, I think I talked about this last week. The what's his face being all cocky, Patty Mahomes about, oh, this, what is it, 20-0 season or whatever, and then losing right away
I was floored.
week two.
I thought Baltimore was done and dusted. I mean, their injuries are still piling up. Their offensive line was in shambles. I thought that was going to be a blowout, honestly, and I was impressed. I mean, that's even though he got off to a pretty poor start with the pick six and the other pick. I mean, that was probably one of Lamar's best games of his career. I mean, he really rallied in the second half. It was impressive.
Yeah, sadly, I after a weekend of binge drinking and partying hard and getting about 6 hours of sleep a night, I was cash after
I wasn't
right
planning to
after
watch that game,
halftime.
but I don't know, it caught my attention. I thought the Chiefs kind of went ahead in the second half, and I was bad to call it a night. But Ravens, I mean, they anchored. I mean, I was Tyreek Hill, 40 yards receiving. I
Yeah, I
mean,
saw that
Chiefs
stat
had
line.
no
That's
running
pretty
game.
funny.
Like defensively speaking, they were Baltimore played as well as you could. I think they held the Chiefs to like 10 points in the second half. Like, it
Not
was
bad.
pretty impressive all around. I mean, good defensive performance and great for Lamar to really kind of rally considering the hole he started in and take the lead late.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool watching Lamar. He's definitely like a different player than anyone
Oh,
else we've
he's
seen.
different. Yeah,
I
his
know
speed
that
is
used to be the
different.
thing with Mike Vick, and then he's just a track star out there.
He's just a
And
different athlete than anyone on the field. It's crazy.
I mean, that Ravens defense, it was very tenacious last year. Then they obviously lost Marcus Peters to ACL, and
Matt
then
Judon left
yeah, they
free
lost Jude
agency.
free agency. Was there another
Mm-hmm.
big loss there too?
Um, One of their linebackers went down in LJ Fort. He was potential starter.
Yeah.
But no, I mean they kind of brought back most of the unit. And they brought in Odafe Owe. They spent their first in Justin Houston. They retooled their pass rushing core. And I mean, Owe had basically a game-winning strip sack late in that game. So the early returns on their first-round pick have been pretty positive.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like he's looked really good both games he's played so
He did.
far.
He looked good against Oakland. I played another rookie Leatherwood, and I'd say he won that matchup.
Not the game, though.
No, I didn't win the game, but individually, I'll give him the accolade.
So the Raiders just tearing up your division.
Yeah, 2-0 against the AFC North. Obviously I was tuned into that game, and they're in the 1:00 window. And credit where credit is due. I mean, the Raiders played really good ball. Derek Carr in particular found a rhythm in the second half and really couldn't be stopped. Defense got a few good stops. I mean, granted, the Steelers' defense was beat up injury-wise. I mean, Joe Hayden and Devin Bush pulled up on the injury report right before the game and were held out. And then Tyson Alualu and TJ Watt got hurt early on. But the Raiders took advantage. They played mostly mistake-free football, and they were able to get just enough stops to kind of put the game away late.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta ask you. So, I mean, I didn't watch the game really, but I think just looking at that Raiders defense on paper, like, where are you scared?
I mean, if the first few games are any indication, the pass rush is really good. I mean, obviously the Steelers' offensive line is not one of the best in the league, but Max Crosby is looking like one of the best pass rushers in the league right now, and Yannick Ngakoue, good partner for him. I mean, the secondary is pretty young, and I thought the Steelers I thought the receivers would do a bit better than they did, but they held up pretty well in coverage, all things considered. So,
right, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the stat line here. Solomon Thomas had 2 sacks, and that was it for them.
Yeah, he got both the sacks, although, I mean, they were getting Big Ben was getting hit almost all game long. But yes, Solomon Thomas got 2 nice cleanup sacks. Yeah, I mean, their front is off to a great start. We'll see if they keep kind of generating the same pass rush week over week. That'll be key to them kind of winning games this year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I only asked just because thinking and looking at their lineup, I mean, I feel like it's not too intimidating this pass.
No, I wouldn't have expected.
It's not crazy, but like even the secondary, very weak for the most part.
No, yeah, heading into the year, I thought it was going to be similar to last year where they were just couldn't really get the stops defensively. They were just kind of had to play catch up the whole game, just keep throwing the ball. But I mean, it's a young unit, and a lot of players are kind of taking steps forward by the looks of it. So I think it might be kind of better than advertised.
Right. But then the first thing that really caught my eye is, once again, I didn't watch this game, but just looking at the stats, Pittsburgh really just put the full game in Big Ben's hands. I don't think he did terrible. He threw for 295 with a touchdown interception, but they only ran the ball 14 times.
Yeah, they invested so heavily in the running game this offseason, obviously with Najee, and then bringing in a couple new linemen. But I don't know if it's just a game script issue or just still not really trusting the run game, but they're not giving Najee the opportunities I feel like they should. Like early in the game, when the game was still even and we weren't playing from behind, they'd give Najee a few carries per drive, but they would mostly just be pass, occasional run. They're just not kind of giving the run game enough opportunities to kind of find a rhythm. And I thought Buffalo had a tough front, so I didn't really expect the run game to be great against them. But I thought they'd really bounce back this game, and they didn't. They just didn't run the ball as much. So, I mean, that's something I'm going to be watching for. They play Cincinnati next week, so hopefully they can get more of a run game started and don't just resort to pass early on. But we'll see. I mean, I was pretty disappointed in that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure you were. And I guess the other thing, I mean, I guess you got to be pretty happy that Melvin Ingram signing. He looks like he did all right this game.
He looks really good. I mean, disappointing that Watt got hurt, considering a strip sack to start the game. But I mean, when you have those two on the field and you have Alex Highsmith as well, It's not many teams are going to be able to stop that. He looks really good.
Yeah, not to mention you got the big beefy beast in the middle over there, Cam
Mhm.
Hayward,
Hopefully,
and Tuitt.
yeah, hopefully Tua will be back soon. He's on short-term IR, but that'll be a
And
big boost to
Alu,
the
you said got
defense.
hurt right before they
Mhm.
called him out, right? Right before
Yeah, that'll
the
be tough to probably out for a while, so it'll be tough to replace. But as long as they can hold up for one more week, they should start getting some reinforcements there.
Yeah, we'll for sure have to see. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I think it's kind of interesting. I don't think people really had high expectations for the Raiders, and
I didn't.
I think Derek Carr, like I think he's, I don't know, would you say he's maybe one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league?
He's playing like it. I mean, he leads the league in passing right now, and he did it against two pretty damn good defenses. So if he keeps it up, I mean, I don't see why he's not one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Definitely one of the most underrated, I'd say.
You heard it here first. Derek Carr, a sneaky underdog for MVP.
Oh, I don't know about that much, but he's playing well. I'll give him that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, who knows? I mean, on the kick and ball, I mean, he had a phenomenal rookie year. He was making a lot of teams look like idiots for not drafting him.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, yeah, I'd say his game's gone under the radar. I mean, again, I was saying earlier, the Raiders' defense never really anything to write home against. So he'd always kind of be playing from behind, just having to keep throwing. But now, I mean, 2 games in, and he's mostly been playing on the front foot and playing with leads, in close games, and he's playing real well.
And I think I'm sure you must have probably saw it, Henry Ruggs just getting an absolute going yard. I really thought he was looking to me like, oh boy, they just drafted the new John Ross, like total bust, just a speedster, can't do anything else. But I mean, he put up a good stat line.
Yeah.
And reports in camp were that this guy Brian Edwards they drafted last year was really
good,
the dominant one out of the two in the end, and making Ruggs look bad. But I mean, just put up numbers. I guess Bama receivers kind of know what they're doing out there.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers' game plan is definitely to hone in on Darren Waller. I mean, you saw Darren Waller had like 20 targets against the Ravens. Like, everyone knew they'd be trying to throw at them. So the Steelers kind of double teamed him, keyed in on him, and it kind of gave the receivers. I mean, Brian Edwards had a bunch of nice catches. Obviously, Ruggs had that big touchdown to basically put the game away. So the other guys pretty much stepped up, and I definitely want to see a bit more from Ruggs going forward. He only had a few catches in that game, but I mean, he's been productive so far this season. So hopefully he keeps getting a bigger role week over week.
Yeah, if you're Gruden, you got to be pretty fired up over there. He's got to be happy.
I mean, it's a dream start, considering probably 2 of the better teams in the AFC, and he came out with wins in both of them. So they got something brewing over there. I'll give him that.
Yeah, not bad at all. And like we said, I mean, you look on paper that I don't think that's a team that really scares many people, but it seems to work.
It's coming together nicely so far.
And so I guess we can jump to. Did you catch any other games at 1:00, or do you know much about?
I had a Red Zone stream going, just kind of queuing on what else was going on. Was there any game you were kind of had your eyes on in the early window?
I think one we can definitely talk about is New England versus New York. I mean,
yikes!
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
Man. Well, you heard our guest last week just going absolutely off about them, man. That Wilson is looking like a train wreck, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking his lumps. I mean, 4 interceptions in one game is not what you want to kind of start out your career, but he's young.
Let's play a little trivia. When's the last time there was this once-in-a-generation talent supposedly coming at quarterback going 1 overall? And then the second guy I picked was looking as good as Zach Wilson has so far.
I'm trying to think of time. I mean,
same amount of letters in the first name.
Got to be what, Ryan Leaf, I'd imagine. Going back that far, yeah. That's a mean comparison. Only 2 games in, but
I know. I mean, I hope the guy figures it out. Bill Belichick. I mean, I feel like it's got to be tough though. Bill Belichick absolutely just playing mental games with this.
Yeah, I mean that's not the defense
he's always going to
go up against.
A year.
That's Bill Belichick. it's not easy to win as a rookie quarterback against a Bill Belichick coach defense. And yeah, it really didn't go too smooth for poor Zach Wilson in that game.
Yeah, I wish I mean, I'm happy the Patriots won. Obviously, my favorite team, but I almost feel bad for this kid. I mean, if you're a Jets fan, how mad are you? You finally get I mean, Darnold obviously got the third overall pick, but I mean, I think people have been different views on that if it's more of a coaching staff issue. And
yeah, we'll get to him in a moment, but yeah, it's tough, and obviously still early on, and you just gotta hope that a game like that doesn't hurt his confidence because he still has talent. Like you still see like all his arm talent and just how hard he can throw the ball and those tight window throws he can make. But it's just kind of figure out how to avoid the mistakes like he did, not getting confused by what the defense is showing him. Gonna have definitely something to keep watching going forward and see how he improves in that regard.
yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're a Jets fan, you were just hoping, praying, oh, this
Yeah,
has got to be a Adam Gase issue, but then
not what you want to see. Now, the other side of the ball, we had another rookie quarterback, Mac Jones, who's off to a pretty decent start in his career. What did you think of him in the second game?
I mean, like I said, I unfortunately did not catch any or much of the game, but he didn't have to do a whole hell of a lot.
No.
With the defense getting 4 interceptions, and what else do they have? I'm sure they probably no fumbles, I guess, but they also recorded 4 sacks. I mean, 7 passes deflected. I mean, yeah, you can't complain. Just had a hand off the ball. What, you got 2 touchdowns in that game from the Patriots, I think. Both on the ground from James White
Harris and James White both had 2 nice.
So I mean, I feel like their offense definitely is the weak point of the team right now, and still needs some time to brush up. But I mean, you really can't complain about Mac Jones. Obviously, his stat line, he threw for $186 at 30 attempts, 22 completions. So like a very, very safe game.
Real cruise control type
Hawkinson
game.
just got a touchdown. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, nice touch over the shoulder in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, not too bad at all. But yeah, I mean, I really can't complain though about Money Mac so far. Not looking too shabby. Hopefully, the stats go a little better as the season goes on, but it also takes time to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, so far the Dolphins game was a low-scoring affair. Both 2 young quarterbacks kind of in a tight one. This one was one day they kind of got in a lead earlier, and he wasn't asked to do much. So I'm looking forward to when you have the big Buccaneers Tom Brady reunion game. Kind of, I'm curious to see how he does where he needs to be a bit more aggressive, kind of take command of the offense and put points on the board. But I mean, no complaints so far. He's off to a pretty solid start to his career, I'd say.
Yeah, not too shabby. And the other thing, so I don't know if you have any stats up, but I think both teams, the breakdown for receptions is kind of interesting. I mean, looking at the New England side, James White had the most receptions. He had 6.
Yep.
And then it's the tight ends had a combined 6, and the receivers still not that many, only 10 between every receiver, or not even, because Damian Harris had receptions, so 9 receptions total from receivers.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
I mean,
they paid a lot of money. They overpaid Bourne and Aguilar, I think. Most people.
Yeah, they spent big money on their receiving core, but they're still kind of. I mean, there might have been a game plan thing because you got to lead early and you kind of kept going to the running game and dump offs because that kept working. But yeah, if you're a Patriots fan, I'd imagine you kind of want to see a bit more out of your receivers than what you've been getting so far. I mean, we'll have to see kind of what happens when the Patriots start playing from behind. Yeah. See kind of who starts getting the ball in that situation. But
but on the flip side, if you're the Jets, I'm looking at their breakdown for catches. Jamison Crowder, nowhere to be seen. Or was he hurt? I don't know.
He was coming off the COVID. I think he was active, but he was coming off the COVID list. I think they're still even easing him back in.
But still, no targets. Corey Davis did have 5 targets, but only 2 receptions for 8 yards.
8 yards, not considering how big of a game he had last week. That's disappointing. I mean, when your leading receiver is Braxton Berrios at 7 receptions for 70 yards, probably not the greatest game offensively.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that also it's giving credit to. I mean, you got Gilmore, J.C.
Yeah,
Jackson,
I mean
and Jones
that's a
there. It's gonna be tough.
pretty stacked secondary. It's not exactly easy to throw on that. So it looks like they kind of kept it short, kept it to the slot. I mean, one positive takeaway you could say is Elijah Moore finished with positive yardage, which is a step up from last week. So hopefully he keeps getting more involved as the weeks go on. And I mean, the run game, you have 3 running backs all over 4.2 yards per carry. I mean, Michael Carter had 11 rushes for basically 60 yards. That's 5.5 a clip almost. So at least considering they couldn't run the ball at all against Carolina, at least that was a positive for them.
Yeah, not bad. And honestly, I mean, that Patriots front seven, I know it's definitely a little older, but I think the one thing is that they do have depth all around. I mean, their middle linebackers, I think, are a little weaker with Bentley and Hightower, and there's not much after that. But they got edge rushers. They got tons of guys up front they can rotate. I mean, just looking down this list, you got
Lawrence size in the middle.
Uche, Barmore, Winovich, Judon, Vice, Godshaw, Henry Anderson, Hashawn Bauer. I mean, obviously they also lost Raekwon McMillan before he was able to play, but like they got some guys on the edge and in the middle, and they can really like rotate them, which I think helps them out, keeping them fresh. And the Jets were able to do well.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a staple of the Belichick defense. There's a lot of pieces up front, deep unit. I mean, credit for the Jets for kind of finding some running success on that. I mean, obviously, you'd also like to see the passing game look a lot better than it did, but I mean, there's at least some positives to take away. Hopefully, the running game continues to look solid, and that'll kind of hopefully make Zach Wilson's life easier going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely not a game you want to be at if you're a Jets fan.
Yeah, and I guess speaking of Jets quarterbacks or former quarterbacks, Sam Darnold continues to look pretty good. I mean, he beat his former team in week 1, and then he went into a game with the red hot New Orleans Saints and pretty much took care of business. I mean, 26-7 game. It wasn't particularly close. They moved the ball pretty efficiently, and the Saints couldn't really get anything going against that young and talented defense.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like, what happened to Kamara? 8 rushes, 5 yards?
I don't know. I mean, considering he rushed the ball almost like 30, 40 times in week 1, just a complete flip of the script on that one.
Yeah, horrible.
Could not get anything going.
The New Orleans receiving core, you take away Kamara from that game because he's a running back technically. I would say he's more just a all-around athlete kind of on that offense, but
a weapon.
No one with more than 1 reception besides Marquez Callaway.
Yeah, I mean, these receivers basically all had 1 catch. I mean, it's just statistically, this was just upfront domination by the Panthers defense. Saints could not get a single thing going. And
yeah, I mean, Darnold,
Jameis Winston, who was as perfect could be against the Packers, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers whatsoever. He 11 completions for 111 yards and 2 interceptions. Looked a lot more like Jameis of old than Jameis of new.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, not many positives to take away from that game script.
No.
Maybe Zach Bond getting 7 total tackles, Peyton Turner, the rookie, getting a sack.
Yeah,
I don't really know what else to
maybe
say.
a few positives on the defensive side of the ball. He got an interception, but yeah, not considering. I mean, they beat the Packers to hell in week 1, and they looked like they were legit, but really kind of came crashing back down to earth against the Panthers this week.
Yeah, not ideal. And I think another crazy stat to look at that I see right now, Panthers didn't punt the ball once.
Huh. Wow.
Oh, wait. No, sorry. Okay, I guess each one must have been fair caught. I apologize because it
No,
shows
no
one
return
against the
yardage.
0 punt
Gotcha.
returns. All right, so they must have all been fair caught.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say, wow, that's crazy. I didn't score that many points.
No, but I mean, looking at the stats, I mean, pretty well distributed. I mean, McCaffrey, obviously, the yard 72 rushing, 65 receiving, and a touchdown. He's going to get his touches every game they play. But
Mhm.
DJ Moore, 8 receptions. Dan Arnold, 3 receptions. Robbie Anderson, 3. Terrace Marshall, 3. They really they spread the ball around. And I mean, I'd venture to say that this is probably the best offensive weaponry Sam Darnold has had in his young career. So,
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're loaded. I mean, Christian McCaffrey on his own, and then DJ Moore, Anderson, and then the rookie Terrace Marshall.
Marshall, yeah.
Not a bad player at all
Yeah,
either.
definitely a big step up in that regard. And then, yeah, as we were saying, getting away from Adam Gase and the Jets coaching staff so far looks like that might have done the trick for good old Sammy
For
Darnold over there.
a second round pick.
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps playing like this, that looks like pretty good trade that the Panthers just sprung. Obviously, still
Yeah.
early, but
We ever see Adam Gase back in the NFL after Donald throws up a huge season?
I don't think so. Maybe in like a quality control type role, but that's about it. I think his days are numbered as a coordinator and as a head coach. That's for sure.
Man, it's crazy. Just looking at this Panthers stat line, like, I mean, no one had like a crazy stat line. Hassan Reddick, 1.5 sacks, pretty nice. But Brian Burns got sacked, but like no one's over 5 tackles just because they didn't have to play defense. They're that efficient.
Yeah, just a good
Crazy.
end-to-end win for the Panthers there. I
And then you
mean,
also get your first round pick and an interception too. That's gonna make you pretty happy.
it definitely makes you happy. I mean, you spent all the talk about they traded for Darnold and drafted a corner instead of drafting Justin Fields, but when
I
Darnold
look
looks good and
geniuses.
your young corners getting interceptions, you got to feel good as a Panthers fan.
Yeah, not bad at all. Oh my gosh. Yeah. These yeah, yikes. Big yikes for the Saints. Under let's see, let's do some quick math. Under 170 total yards.
Ugh.
Yeah, not that's almost tough to do, I gotta say.
And now they have to go into New England. I mean, that's another tough defense. So they're gonna have to. I mean, good for them. They got on the board in week 1, but you're gonna have to kind of get back to what was working, or else you're gonna fall into a bit of a hole. And they're in a
Yeah,
tough
not
division. You got the Super Bowl champions of these upstart Panthers. So that's some upward climbing they have to do.
yeah, no, not good at all. I think going on a different look, some of these guys, some of these quarterbacks, some of these games, just headlines I was hearing so ugly. I mean, how does Joe Burrow throw 3 interceptions and 3 passes in a row?
I didn't really catch that one, but it wasn't a great display for the Bengals. I mean, I don't think either team played particularly well, but yeah, you said that stretch of just pick. One of them was a pick six by Roquan Smith. I mean, that you can't have stretches like that if you're going to win games, especially considering the Bengals are still trying to build up talent. They can't really just
Terrible,
blow by teams yet.
absolutely terrible. And I mean, I really thought the Bengals would have won that game. Honestly, if you were to
I
ask
do.
me, it I mean, even like Andy Dalton went down. That was the other big thing.
Yeah, we got our first real action of Justin Fields. I mean, not a whole lot to write home about. 6
No,
of
yeah, not
13 for
great
60
either.
yards. I mean, Allen Robinson dropped what should have been a touchdown and then followed up with a not great interception thrown by Fields. But
I'm
I
glad
mean,
to hear that because Allen Robinson did not put up good numbers for fantasy this week.
yeah, it was.
For a touchdown. All right, glad to hear you could have had another one though.
Yeah. But no,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see the extent of Andy Dalton's injury. I mean, I saw on Twitter today that as soon as he's back, he'll come back as a starter. But in the meantime, if he has to miss time, pretty big opportunity for Justin Fields.
Yeah, and I think we kind of talked about this last week that we were thinking that maybe week 4 was the magic week for Fields after because next week, what do they have? Tampa Bay.
Let me take a look.
believe so.
They have the Browns, which definitely.
The
That's a
Browns.
tough
All right,
game.
well that's still going to be brutal for the poor kid.
Yeah, but week 4 against the
Playing
Lions, we
Coleman,
kind of circled that.
Dalton or Fields, whoever has it.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely gonna be tough. We'll have to see. Hopefully, I mean, who knows? I mean, the defense at least looked good. In that, I think the defense is what people would think would be better this year, even though I kind of feel like the defense just is not what it used to be. I don't think it's nearly as good.
Nah, it's definitely took a step or two back, but it's still a decent unit. I mean, they could ride their defense.
Second, I mean, his corners are still not great, but
yeah, as long as you don't play mistake-heavy offense, you kind of avoid big turnovers. Your defense should be good enough to keep you in most games.
Yeah, but I mean, you got Jalen Johnson, like you said, the pick six, or sorry, Roquan Smith, but Jalen Johnson, very promising last year early on.
Mm-hmm.
Big interception also. Definitely wouldn't be too upset if I were them. Aaron Jones, what a game.
Yeah, 2 touchdown games so far.
Have him in my one league and then playing in my other, but the one I'm winning in, or the one I was down 3 points before he was playing, so I'm going to win that and then getting clapped in my other one.
I'm in a tight one in our league. I have DeAndre Swift going and playing Josh, who has TJ Hawkinson going. So it's probably going to be wire to wire.
All right. So this is an important game to watch then.
Yeah, definitely fantasy implications for me at least. Now, I guess another game I definitely want to touch on. How about the Titans? Real come from behind win in overtime against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, I thought they were a job. They got crushed by the Cardinals in week 1, had to go all the way out to Seattle. And Seattle got out to an early lead, and I thought they were going to kind of ride that. But when you have the best running back in the entire NFL, and he's a second half player, hard to stop. They really rode him to victory.
Yeah, that just ground and pound, and then I mean he tires out the defense.
Yeah, I mean when you can touch the ball 35 times and average 5.2 yards a carry, it's not easy to stop. I mean that's 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's your classic. Just no one can stop Derrick Henry type game.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have on your team, and I mean I think it also clearly helped Tannehill. He still threw the ball 40 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, playing from behind, throw the ball and run the ball.
Yeah,
and,
I mean second half, they won 21-6 in the second half.
Yep, capped it off in overtime. And I mean Julio Jones, quiet week 1, but 6 receptions for 128 yards in week 2. I mean they paid second round pick, pretty sizable amount of capital for them. Kind of add another dimension to their offense, and that's what this is more like what you want to see from your new star receiver.
Yeah, I really think this offense, I mean, they got I think most people would argue they got those 3 studs of weapons there. So I'm curious I'm sure it's gonna end up being Henry's gonna always get his touches and get his great. I mean, you gotta give it to him if you're like on within the 5 yard. I mean, you'd be dumb not to. But then I mean, yeah, you got Julio and AJ Brown, so it's kind of like pick your poison. I mean, but AJ Brown, 9 targets but only getting 3. That is ugly.
Yeah, he was one of the lone bright spots last week, so can't fault him too much. He's got for the Titans' sake, let's see if they can get a game where both Julio Jones and AJ Brown are really on the same page, both kind of producing at a high level rather than one or the other.
Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. But Tyler Lockett, He must be wide receiver one, I got to assume,
I mean,
in all fantasy.
when you follow up, he had over 150 yards, I think, week one, and then he did it again in week two. He's looking like a Russell Wilson's guy right now, and teams cannot stop him going over the top. So, yeah, if you have Tyler Lockett in your fantasy team, you're off to what I'd have to imagine is a good start.
I mean, I think it's hilarious because last year I think his big claim to fame was if you take away his best two games, his average per game drops him from like wide receiver 60 to like wide receiver 40.
Oh man, I had my one league last year with my friends at work, and I think it was like a Sunday night or a Monday night game, and Tyler Lockett was my last guy playing, and he put up a 50 burger, and I took the lead by like 5 points. I thought I was done and dusted. That was one of the most.
You'll get that, but then you probably had quite a few dud weeks
Oh
too.
yeah, I had the duds. Yeah, I had the. I mean, that's what you get with Tyler Lockett. But this year so far, you're just getting the highs. So hopefully, for any Tyler Lockett fantasy owners out there, he doesn't have those dud games like he has in the past.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm gonna give you another stat that I think will blow your mind. The one person that looked like having a chance against Derrick Henry, Bobby Wagner, 20 tackles.
Yeah, it's a shame they lost that game because that would be one game you look at had they won and say that was a pretty outstanding performance. But unfortunately, it's clouded by the loss. But yeah, Bobby Wagner. That's why he's one of the best. I think the right place, right time, all the time. One of probably the lone bright spots on the Seahawks defense in the second half.
And this might blow your mind, but I think it was probably around 7 years ago. All right, I don't know how long ago it was. Let me look this up. He number one recruit in college football, played on Ole Miss, ended up being, I forget when he was drafted, but let's see if you can guess this guy's name. Okay, so he was drafted 29th overall in 2016 by the Cardinals. And he went to Ole Miss, and he was recruited. He was like the number one and number two recruit in the class.
Yeah, it was Robert Nkemdiche or whatever his name is. Yeah,
he had 7 tackles. I don't even know he's in the league anymore.
He's still in the league. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I thought he flamed out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so good for him.
Yeah,
it's kind of a good little comeback story.
Might have found a little place. Good, yeah, good for him for sure. Because he was definitely a bust for the Cardinals.
My favorite part, he was the guy that really got the Ole Miss in trouble. Because like, all right, I mean, the NCAA was like, all right, how the hell did they finally get like this top recruit? And they got investigated and they get waxed.
Yeah, they all Hugh Freeze bag drop, get all those good 5-star players.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but I mean, he ended up. I mean, hey, we'll see. Maybe he'll make some of his career now.
No, yeah, good for him.
I guess you got to throw him in against Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I did not know that was the case. Good for him, for sure.
Yeah, but I remember seeing that Seahawks smacking the Titans, looking like it'd be a rough season. This Titans fan, but
yeah, I thought going in that game, I thought that'd be a Seahawks victory, and it looked the part. But
at home,
again, when you have Derrick Henry and he's playing like he did, that's a recipe for success, and they found it.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe let's you want to call it quits at halftime?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Are there any other games you caught this week that maybe you can speak more about?
In the 4:00 window, I saw I had the Cowboys Chargers game on.
I catch some of that.
That was kind of a surprise to me. I mean, I expected it to be a high scoring affair, and it was a 20-17 ball game. So the opposite of what I thought. I mean, both quarterbacks played well, but both quarterbacks had some untimely turnovers. And there were some pretty sketchy calls by the officials. Took away a couple touchdowns from the Chargers down the stretch. They had to settle for a field goal, and Greg the Leg Zerline capped it off with a big 56-yarder to kind of walk-off win there. It's a big one for the Cowboys. Definitely don't want to start 0-2. They played the Buccaneers tight, kind of lost at the last minute there. So that's a real big rebound win for them.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Definitely keeps them a lot more competitive, even though that division I would argue is still one of the weakest in football. But
yeah,
now they're
definitely one of the
now they're
weakest.
tied for first.
Yeah, the Eagles football team and the Cowboys are all 1-1 now. Giants are behind at 0-2, but you got to get your wins where you can get them in that division because that's going to be tight. What I imagine is all year long. Not necessarily tight in a good way because most of these teams might stink, but definitely going to be close, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And I think another interesting thing in that game, Keenan Allen only 4 receptions, Mike Williams 7, Austin Eckler 9.
Yeah, they were feeding the ball to Eckler a lot from what I saw.
And Mike Williams, he's finally living up to that early first round hype he got.
Yeah, he's a good player. It's just he has hit or miss games. He's a jump ball specialist. He can get open deep, but there'll be games where he has 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. There'll be games where he has 10 yards and no touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of the ball, the Cowboys rushing attack, Pollard had over 100 yards on 13 carries, and Zeke had another 70 and a touchdown himself on 16 carries. So between those two, they found some rushing success because they definitely didn't have the same receiving success they did against Tampa.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a lot easier going against that Chargers front seven than the Tampa Bay front seven. But, what do you think? What do you think going forward? Do you think it's more of a 50-50 backfield now? Tony Pollard last year
he looks good.
He was running the ball. This game, he absolutely crushed him with efficiency.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to just give the ball to Zeke 30 times a game and have Pollard touched a few times. I definitely think it's going to be more of a maybe a 60-40 type split. Kind of just depending on how the game flow goes. If you need a quicker back or you need more of someone who could churn out the tough yardage like Zeke. But yeah, I think you're going to find success with both those running backs. I think so. If they could find a kind of a good balance between the two, they keep them both fresh.
Yeah, I think that makes that offense a lot more scary. But I don't know. It was up with Dak Prescott this week. I guess 237 is not too bad, but they only had 2 touchdowns all week, and this is a team that last week I think shocked a lot of people going head-to-head against Tampa Bay, and then obviously
take them down the wire for sure. But yeah, even if they weren't as explosive offensively, it's good for them to get out of there with a win. Taking a look at the schedule, looks like they are on Monday night against the Eagles. That's a big divisional game, potentially for the division lead. So, yeah, definitely good to get in the win column there.
Yeah, I'll be excited to stream that game next week for sure.
Definitely. So before we wrap up, you want to run through our predictions again for next week's slate of games?
Sure. Yeah, you want to pull them up?
Yeah, I'll MC this one. So it looks like Thursday night, a real banger of a game between the Panthers and the Houston Texans, who will be down Tyrod Taylor as he recovers from his hamstring injury.
Hey, got to go Panthers in that. Darnold's looking legit, and that Texans defense is. I did hear Tyrod Taylor on the McAfee show this week. It was real interesting to hear him talk about how all the guys on the team, they took in 30 plus free agents this year, and just a bunch of guys that have chips on their shoulder. They're fighting, but I don't think it is the most talented.
Yeah, it's a shame. They're really hanging in there. We didn't touch on this game, but they were hanging in there with the Browns before he got hurt. So, considering how low the expectations were, good for them to hang in there. But I don't think they're going to be able to win this one without Tyrod. All right. Next up, big divisional matchup out west. The Chargers visit the Chiefs. 2 teams coming off a loss this week.
Yeah, I think you gotta go with the Chiefs in this game, but I think it's gonna. I think both these teams have kind of been. I mean, their defenses are definitely weaker, and the offenses we were probably expecting more. And I'm surprised Justin Herbert lost touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, I definitely think the Chiefs are due for a bounce back after a disappointing game, and especially at home. I'll ride the favorites in that one. All right. The Arizona Cardinals 2-0, visiting the 0-2 Jacksonville Jaguars.
Definitely, yeah, don't need to talk about it. Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, gonna have to agree there.
Another
and then we
way,
mentioned it a bit earlier, but the Bears visit the Cleveland Browns. This could be Justin Fields' first start as an NFL quarterback. How do you see this one going?
I wish the best to Justin Fields, but I'm not sure that day will be his day. Got to go with the Browns.
All right. The Washington football team, fresh off a win, visits the Buffalo Bills, also fresh off a win.
You know what? Maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm new to the Washington area, but honestly, I think we got to see it. I mean, think about it. You watched the Bills week 1 against the Steelers. Steelers got a good defense. And then, I mean, Miami, I think, has got an all right defense, nothing near the Steelers. But Washington, I think, maybe has a better defense than the Steelers, if not similar. I think maybe they give Josh Allen a little more trouble than people think. And I think a little Heineke magic. We'll see, though. We'll see. I'm going to take Washington upset, though.
It's a bold call. I can respect it. Right. Now turn it over to your team. We have the New Orleans Saints visiting your Patriots.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta get after seeing, unless Jameis somehow pulls out a miracle, another week 1 performance. It depends which side of the face we see from Jameis. But yeah, I gotta go with the Patriots on.
Given how their defense looked, I think I'm also going to back the Patriots on that one. AFC South matchup. This could be for the division lead. Actually, no, sorry, the Colts are on too. But yes, the Colts visit the Tennessee Titans. Big, definitely for the standings.
Yeah, not what I would expect from the Colts, but I think they're going to have to start the season 0-3.
I mean, backs against the wall for the Colts, but I think that the big win for the Titans is going to propel them, kind of give them some momentum, and probably a win to end that game.
For sure.
Speaking of 0-2 teams, the New York Giants host the 0-2 Atlanta Falcons. So at least someone's getting a win there, and someone's falling to 0-3.
Yeah.
Who's the loser there?
I think the Giants looked, I mean, on Thursday night, and they're getting more rest this week. I think I got to hammer the Giants. The Falcons looked absolutely terrible. I mean, at least in the first week I watched them against the Eagles, absolutely smacking them.
A bit better against the Bucs, but
yeah,
still definitely not great.
Yeah, I got to go with the Giants.
All righty. How about my Pittsburgh Steelers host the Cincinnati Bengals divisional rivalry right there?
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts?
At home, Heinz Field. Definitely would go with the Steelers in this game. I mean, I hope Joe Burrow looks a little better than he did against the Bears, because I want to see him do well, and I feel like that franchise has been sad forever, and they need a little hope. But yeah, definitely Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping our defense is a bit healthier than it was against the Raiders. So if they are, I think I'm going to favor the Steelers. Mostly, as I said, going to be watching to see how the running game looks. But I'll rep my team there. Next game, the Detroit Lions, who are playing right now and are winning. They host the Baltimore Ravens, fresh off their big comeback win.
Yeah, honestly, if the Ravens can come out like they did in the second half and not look like they did in the first half, I mean, definitely Ravens. But I mean, I don't know. I think this Lions team is going to end up at the end of the season. People are going to be a lot more shocked how they did.
A lot better. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Jared Goff's looking. I mean, I think they ended up doing. I think that trade they made was the right call, 1,000% by that team.
Yep.
I mean, give Stafford a chance, and they got 2 first-round picks out of it. Not to mention a former number 1 overall pick, who, I mean, I don't think anyone would agree he's lived up to expectations. But I mean, last I saw, they're showing his stats. He was 11 for 12 in this game against a team that has Jair Alexander, Kenny Clark, and some other big names on that defense. I think these are a lot more legit. I mean, they really built up that O line. So I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the Lions won.
Righty. Entering
But
the
I
four
would take the
o'clock
Raiders.
window, we got the Jets visiting the Broncos. Are the Jets going to get on the board this week?
Yeah, no shot. Sorry, Jets fans. The
Tough.
Broncos are looking red hot. But hey, if you're a Jets fan, you're used to it at this point. Broncos
I'll
are
be
looking
rooting.
hot. They're at home. I mean, your quarterback just threw 4 interceptions and 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to rebound from there. I'll be rooting for them, but I don't think they'll be able to get the job done. Now our upstart Vegas Raiders host the Miami Dolphins. I think this one might depend a lot on Tua's health. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to see about that. But honestly, I think even with the healthy Tua, I think the Raiders are looking pretty darn good. I mean, they just came out with 2 very big wins to start the season. I think they're looking hot. They got momentum. They're fired up. They're loving it in Vegas. So we'll see. I think the Raiders win this one.
Got to agree there. And then what might be the biggest game of the weekend, although not in prime time, Tampa Bay Buccaneers visit the Los Angeles Rams. This is Tom Brady's first game in Los Angeles in his 20-year career.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a good game for sure. It's one that definitely could be a big game in the playoffs. Definitely something I think people should look forward to. I mean, arguably top 5 offenses and top 5 defense is going up against each other. I will give the edge to the Rams because they're at home though. And I do
I'm
think
going to
that
agree.
Buccaneers secondary was kind of getting exposed as seen against the Cowboys. And I think the passing attack of the Rams could be a little too tough versus the Rams. I think they have a little bit of a better secondary.
I think I agree. I mean, definitely that game can go either way, but I think I'm going to back the home team on that one. I think kind of a big statement game for Matt Stafford. And then we have the Seattle Seahawks visiting the Vikings, who lost in heartbreaking fashion this week on a missed field goal. Are they going to be able to get a win, or is their misfortune going to continue?
This might not be popular, but I'm going to go with the Vikings this week. I think the Seahawks absolutely crushed last week, and I think the Vikings putting up the performance they did against the Cardinals, who I would say is a better team than the Seahawks, I think the Vikings take it at home.
I do not share
Maybe a little bit bold,
there.
but
I gotta stick with the Seahawks there. I think it's early, but I think the Vikings might be in for a long season. And then
we got to start writing down these predictions and seeing how we do it next week. No, I'll make a list actually after we call it. And I'll
that's a good idea. We'll check how we do week over week. All right, and then to wrap this up, we have the 2 primetime games Sunday night. The Packers, currently down to the Lions, visit the San Francisco 49ers.
All right, and the last dance for the Packers is going to start with an 0-3 start. You heard it here.
Wow. Big call.
I think they're going to lose tonight, and I think that guy's winning what is it, $700,000 or something?
Yeah, good for him if that hits. That would be ridiculous.
So for those that don't know, this guy bet on every game who would win, and he's been correct on every game this week.
15 to 15.
Tonight he has the Lions beating the Packers, and if he hits that, he wins. I think it's $700,000.
Yeah, I hope that works out for him. And our last game of the week, Monday night, the Philadelphia Eagles visit the Dallas Cowboys, potentially for first place in the NFC East. Who comes out on top?
I mean, I feel like we talked about this before. Like, depends which side of the Eagles come out. Week 1, obviously, maybe going against the worst team in the league. They looked absolutely phenomenal. And then I unfortunately didn't catch this past game, but looked, from what I could tell, is dog shit. So as much as it stings me and I hope the Eagles win, I mean, I would have to go with the Cowboys at home.
I think Abba's going to take the Cowboys. I think that win over the Chargers is going to be big for them. Kind of give them some optimism heading into that game. definitely have the passing attack to get it done. Alrighty, so that is kind of our recap of the week we would watch, our predictions for the week ahead. Any closing remarks?
I think I'm good, and hopefully we will be back next week to see the Eagles upset the Cowboys Monday night. But we shall see.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, good talking to you as always. Thanks for
Have a
having
good
tuned
one.
in. Have a good one.
All right, just cut.